There is a new star in Texas as George Pickens joins the Dallas Cowboys after 3 years in Pittsburgh. With the addition of Pickens to CeeDee Lamb, Dallas now has 2 legitimate wide receivers on offense. The Pickens trade moved the Cowboys' odds to make the playoffs slightly, according to ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Before the trade, their odds were plus 225. Now, they're plus 200 post-trade. Mina Kimes and Damian Woody join us on the show. Mina, has Dallas closed the gap with Washington and Philly in the NFC East?
I love coming out at the end of the show just to make Stephen A. mad because I don't believe that they've closed the gap with Philly. I still have them at the top of the NFC East, but I do have them closing the gap with the Washington Commanders. Let me lay this out for you. Just going team by team, they now have a better pass catching group, one of the best pass catcher duos in the entire NFL. Jayden Daniels was better last year, but we're only 2 years removed from Dak Prescott being one of the 3 best quarterbacks in football. I'll give the Commanders the edge with the run game, about even on offensive line. On the other side of the ball, the Cowboys have a better pass rush, and they have a better secondary. When you lay it out and look at the rosters, especially considering the improvements on offense for Dallas, it's really hard not to see that the Cowboys are not only a playoff team, but have absolutely, in my mind, closed the gap.
Go ahead, Woody.
Yeah.
No, Mina's right. Like if you stack the rosters, the Dallas Cowboys have absolutely closed the gap with the Washington Commanders. I think the biggest difference is Jayden Daniels. We're so caught up into the year he had, and he had an unbelievable year. But I think anyone who watched the Commanders, especially when they played against the Philadelphia Eagles, saw all of the deficiencies that the Commanders have. Obviously, they've addressed some of it with the offensive line, adding to that group. Obviously, bringing Deebo Samuel. We're going to find out how much Deebo Samuel have left in the tank. But there's still a lot left to be desired about the Washington Commanders. Pass rush, secondary, like Mina pointed out. So I really like what the Dallas Cowboys is because, quite honestly, Stephen A., we haven't seen Jerry pull a move like this in quite some time. We've been complaining about Jerry Jones not making a trade or making a big-time move to really show everybody that, you know what, maybe we are all in. And I'm not saying the Dallas Cowboys are going to contend for a Super Bowl, but I do got to give Jerry Jones his props for making a big-time trade.
Well, bravo. It's so touching. I mean, congratulations. They made a move. I mean, listen. After the year they had, anything they did was going to be an upgrade. And I get that. So I understand that with Dak Prescott coming back healthy, acquiring George Pickens, now you got a legitimate number 2. Us opposite CeeDee Lamb, I get that part. Turn over the bottom line, we expect them to be elite. With the Washington Commanders, this kid, Josh Connolly Jr., that they drafted in the first round, we're going to ignore that. We're going to ignore the fact that they acquired Laramie Tunsil. We're going to ignore the fact that they buffered their offensive line. They should protect their quarterback better. They should have improved their running game. And on top of it all, they got a guy in the slide in Deebo Samuel. We're going to ignore that, because the Dallas Cowboys have improved their roster. Did it ever occur to you, Mina? Did it ever occur to you, Woody, that because you got an additional weapon, it will call for the rookie head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, who nobody wanted for a head coaching job, by the way, that he's going to be there? Did it ever occur to y'all that it's going to call for Dak Prescott to throw the football more? And we know what happens when that occurs, especially come playoff time, right? Assuming they get there. The Dallas Cowboys are still playing for third place. But I don't mind what you two are saying, because all it does is raises the hope and expectations of Cowboy fans.
There it is.
Which means they come plummeting down. See, I don't want them to stink in September. I want them to be formidable in September, October, November, and right around Christmas time. They remind us of who they are. All y'all are saying is, just wait, be patient. They won't let me down. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
We're hoping George Pickens comes in and can fill a role that has been missing.
What do you mean hope?
Dallas. The hope.
Why are you hoping for that, Peter?
Not me personally.
Why are you hoping
the
for that?
Cowboys fans. Look,
I mean, you said hope. You said hope. That's what you said. Like you hoping for the Cowboys. What you hoping for them for?
Trust me, I ain't hoping for anything for any of these teams. I'm an objective observer here. I'm just saying they had been missing that one.
Sounded to me like you were hopeful.
That's it.
Sounded to me like you were hopeful. I send a little cowboy love there. We don't allow that on this show. We don't allow that on this show.
Go New York, go New York.
Pickens. We had breaking news in this program yesterday morning. Cowboys bringing in George Pickens on a trade the Steelers for a 2026 third-round pick. Cowboys also sending a fifth-rounder and getting a sixth-rounder in 2027. Pickens will be the number 2 receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb, bringing big playability, averaging more than 15 yards per reception last season in Pittsburgh. The updated playoff odds for both teams, the impact was noticeable. Pickens trade on ESPN Bet, creating slight movement in the market for both teams. Cowboys plus 200 odds to make the playoffs, still ranked third in the NFC East behind the Eagles and the Commanders. Pittsburgh also the third shortest odds in their division behind the Ravens and the Bengals. It's time for a little would you or wouldn't you with NFL analyst Damian Woody. It looks better today than when that photo was taken years ago. Damian, would you or wouldn't you buy the Cowboys as a playoff team right now?
Randy, I would. I think they made Jerry Jones made a bold move in addressing a major need for the Cowboys. Their number 2 wide receiver in George Pickens. And if you look at that duo in Dallas with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, that's a top 5 duo in the National Football League. With Dak coming back healthy, I think the offensive line is going to be better. The defense is going to be able to get after people. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to find themselves back in the playoffs in 2025.
Top 5 duo in the NFL. Okay, would you or wouldn't you then buy Dak Prescott having the best year of his career now that he has CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens to throw to?
Yeah, I'm going to say I would not, only because, new play caller. I don't want to take anything away from what Dak had with Mike McCarthy. Dak put up some huge numbers under head coach Mike McCarthy. So, I'm very excited about what George Pickens is going to look like opposite CeeDee Lamb. But I'm going to be a little bit hesitant until I see some of it in action.
Finally, the man that would have thrown, perhaps, to George Pickens. If you're Aaron Rodgers, would you or wouldn't you play for the Steelers after they traded Pickens away?
Heck no, I would not. You're already, this offense was already kind of questionable, but now you take away George Pickens off of that offense. We have major question marks about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm 42, I'm at the end of my career. I don't view the Pittsburgh Steelers as a viable team to come out of the AFC, so I would not.
DK Metcalf, though. DK Metcalf is still a number 1 in the wide receiver.
Another stratosphere in terms of pay. No deal, though, for the Niners quarterback, who is ready to become the next $50 million quarterback at just 25 years old. Busy time for GM John Lynch. Made some major roos, extended tight end George Kittle for 4 years, and then talked about Purdy today.
I can tell you, we made it a practice not to talk about negotiations, and that goes way back to when I was playing. I felt like that was my business, and I didn't want the world knowing it. So I've always been very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is we're having really good, positive discussions. When it gets done, I'm not sure. Hope sooner rather than later, but hope is not a strategy. So we're making progress. We've had good discussions.
He sounds optimistic there. NFL insider Jeff Darlington joining us now on SportsCenter. Jeff, where are talks right now between the 49ers and Brock Purdy?
Well, Kev, it's amazing how a positive tone can give a lot of optimism about a negotiation because, quite frankly, we are all optimistic about this because John Lynch has simply said so. And I am told that talks have been quite positive. Now, if you keep in mind that in past years, the 49ers have had some negotiations that have dragged on, that have been dramatic, that have led to people asking for trades. They don't want this to feel like that with Brock Purdy. Now, what does that mean in terms of a timeline? The 49ers aren't exactly saying that, but generally speaking, these big deals for quarterbacks get done in the summer. The 49ers would like this to get done sooner than that. It would actually not surprise me if this got done, say, even around the time of OTAs, which honestly could be by the end of May. It's an optimistic timeline, but again, optimistic tones out of John Lynch.
That is good for 49.